Opposed? Thank you. We're going to move directly. We have a slightly different agenda this evening. Just testing this out. We're going to move to correspondence. We have key disciplinary actions. DOH advised that as a result of the investigation, Jania Austin, Philmont, New York, EMT number 3033840, had their certification revoked effective August 25th, 2011 for violations of Part 800.16 subsection E. And Alyssa Berkowitz from Sloatsburg, New York, EMT number 198540, had certification suspended for 2 years effective August 11th, 2011. Suspension was stayed. She was placed on probation for 3 years effective August 11th, 2011. Assessed a civil penalty of $2,000 for violations of Part 800.16 subsection E, 800.15 subsection A1, and 800.16 subsection A. We have quite a pile of correspondence which is represented in your agenda. I'll give you a moment to take a look at that. If there's anyone who would like to see any of that correspondence, please let me know. There's no requirement that we read that list into the minutes, and therefore I'll just pause and give you a chance to do that. Questions by anyone? Okay, excused from this evening's meeting is Jim Stairs. Move directly then to the report of committees. At the top of the agenda we have the CON committee. Evan?
Yeah, the CON committee is currently working on one transfer of operating authority, and that has been tabled to the next council meeting. So we have nothing else on the agenda at this time.
Thank you. Any questions for Evan? Thank you very much. Executive committee report, certainly as always, will fill you in on everything that we discussed in one way or another at some point in the agenda. I do bring down a seconded motion from the executive board. We have solicited a letter of intent to relocate our office from this particular location to a space on New Carter Road. We have negotiated very favorable lease terms to keep our lease static for 7 years at a rate that is extremely attractive to the market at $12 a square foot. The location is 431 New Carter Road. The lease has not been signed yet, subject to our approval. So I do ask that you keep that confidential so that no competitor enters the marketplace. It does come down as a seconded motion. For vote, any discussions or questions?
Just a quick question. How much space are we looking to rent?
Great question. 3,500 square feet.
The point that the paper indicates $7 a square foot.
It does.
I believe that's the gross.
Is that triple net?
That was triple net, right? Yeah, the lease terms are very attractive. We're able to lock in at $12 a square foot. That includes all common area maintenance, all utilities, all taxes, janitorial service, snow plowing, etc., as facilities to accommodate the number of vehicles that we need, 24/7 access, etc., and we believe we'll position ourselves strategically to be able to take advantage of the better space to continue expanding the mission of the organization.
That is, of course, more than we have currently.
It almost double, right?
It's a little difficult to estimate because the space on our lease is really just the office space upstairs. All the rooms that we're in now and other spaces we sign up for and are allowed to use at the convenience of the town colony. If we included all of it together, it would probably be about the same space. Sound right?
So we're doubling our monthly rent.
Correct.
That's a lot.
But we will have 24/7 where we don't have to worry about holidays and night times.
We don't have to worry about times, we don't have to worry about getting space and asking for it because it's becoming increasingly difficult to get to the extra rooms to do training and so on.
Yep. In this market, I think that's pretty decent.
Pretty attractive. Also, not necessarily well known to this group, but the limitations have been placed on us by the town to continue. We're not certain that over time they really even want to keep this building within their portfolio property investment. So it's a strategic position as much as it is a hedge against us.
Do we get to see it?
Everyone from the executive committee, I believe, has already walked through. You're certainly welcome to go see it. I'm sure Tim would set that up for you. Absolutely.
So is it a group we can go through it, or is there just going to be a one? I was kind of curious, because my understanding is only 2 or 3 people have seen it.
All right. Raise your hand if you've seen the building, if you've been through it.
You've been through it? There's 3.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So I just wanted to make sure that it was going to be adequate.
I'd be happy to contact Dan Dabney from CB Richard Ellis to schedule a walkthrough for anybody that wants to see it. If you just want to send me an email, let me know what your availability is, and I'll make every attempt to work with Dan to get whoever wants to do a walkthrough. You know, I'll get it done.
Is this, the $12 square foot, is that going to be for the duration of the lease, or does it increment each year according to something?
It's static for 7 years.
That's very,
In year 8, there would be an option.
sure.
At which point, that option for year 8 is currently capped at $13.50 a square foot. But we'd enter into negotiations in year 6. So for this type of class, this is space that MTI was in. So from a, you probably know the market better than I do, but from a rate perspective, this is about as good as it's going to get.
It's extremely attractive in this market.
Any further discussion? Again, this comes down as a seconded motion to authorize Tim to enter into the lease, commit the organization for 7 years for relocation to the space at 431 New Carter Road, subject to review of the lease by legal counsel and any amendments or adjustments necessary. All in favor? Opposed? Anyone abstaining? Okay, thank you. Treasurer's report, Rich.
Sure. All is very well. We have nearly $500,000 in assets, $1,500 in liabilities. I won't bore you with your balance sheet yourself. There are 4 bills for payment, 3 for course books and 1 for a conference registration for Tim and Dave Polk. I'll come to you as a second motion from the executive board, unless you have questions on it.
Motion to pay the bills. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
You do have budget on, it's a separate line item further on, you want to wait till then?
Why don't you go ahead and cover it now, Rich?
Sure. Our fiscal year, most of you may recall, ends on September 30th. So at our next meeting, we have an obligation to adopt the budget for the fiscal year that begins on 10/1. Tim is going to get that out to you in short order by email so that you can all review it ahead of time and come in ready to make an informed decision. I think it's a very, very well done budget. Tim had to make some difficult decisions, for which I give him credit. He's held his salary and the salary of most of his staff flat for the proposed fiscal year. A small increase for one individual at the low end of the pay scale who has had a reassignment in his job a bit, change in his job, as I should say. In a reduction in work hours for one of the more tenured employees that is necessary to keep this organization viable. We're also looking at, of course, as Steve mentioned, the rent, $21,000 a year increase in our rent bill. So that's something we're going to be tied to for 7 years, and that's going to be reflected in the budget for the next fiscal year. So that'll be coming around to you, so you have a chance to look at it and you can vote on it, hopefully when we get together in October.
Great summary. Thank you, Rich. Questions for Rich? One item I'll just add is that over time, some questions regarding the investment portfolio have come to discussion. I appreciate all those questions, as does the investment subcommittee. I did want to report to you that without going into all the, I guess, granularity, the Spectrum account yield today is 17.47% on our bonds, and we're yielding a combined 6.9% on our equity investments, which has contributed substantially not only to the financial performance, but towards building our future. So look to continue that good performance. It's certainly RBC and Jim Watkinson, I think, have done a great job of really beating the street with respect to that financial performance. We hope that that will continue. That bond portfolio is made up of a lot of Build America bonds, which are certainly well insured, well protected. So I think we're in a good position there. Hopefully that will continue, and we'll continue to report here regarding the investment fund performance, which is something that you've requested, and we agreed that we would do for you. No further questions for Rich, then we'll move to Dr. Daly, who will do the combined medical advisory committee, medical director, and academic committee report. Dr. Daly.
Chairman, very brief report tonight, much to the surprise, I'm sure, of our chairman. First, the protocols. As Tim will also report, the protocol books are being printed. The protocol test is in the process of being beta tested, and hopefully we'll be able to open that test up to everybody next week. We'll keep the slides posted through their ALS coordinators. There's been a bunch of different programs to do protocol education. From the MAC and academic committee meetings, only a few pieces of particularly relevant information. One was a letter from Columbia County EMS asking for an endorsement from the REMAC pursuing their permanent operating certificate, which they should be getting issued. The program down there has been a big success, and you guys can compliment them for that. Other new business, there was a request for ALS upgrade from Hoover Valley, which was approved by that. There is one piece of information just to bring to this body that's been sent to me a number of times, which is an FDA black box warning for ondansetron and Zofran for potentially causing long QT syndrome. I've reviewed the data. I've asked Mike Roeder, who's one of our pharmacists, to review the data. I've talked to other medical directors about this, and frankly, our suggestion is that there is nothing that should change currently in EMS practice based on this information. Ondansetron remains our safest antiemetic. There is a case report of an 11-year-old child going into ventricular tachycardia from undiagnosed long QT syndrome, for which she subsequently recovered. There is no report of a negative outcome for any patient who received this drug, unlike every other antiemetic on the market. And so at this point, we stand firmly behind our decision making in terms of our program. So just in case anybody happens to see that and is wondering, that's the answer that we're giving every time we see the question and the information we give the staff. Any questions about that?
Thank you, Dr. Daly. Executive Director's report. Tim.
Everybody should have a copy. Highlights: EMS Awards Night, Tuesday, October 11th, 6:30. Save the date on your calendar. St. Peter's is very happy to welcome us there, and they'd like to show off their new facilities to everyone. The other thing, protocol manual donations. I think it exceeded our wildest dreams. We realized in excess of $30,000 when we solicited for donations to support our protocol printing drive. And that's it, other than our regional mutual aid plan, which the council approved by email vote at the end of I don't know the exact date, but about 3 days before the bottom fell out here, and we actually used our regional plan to assist our neighbors to the south in Greene County. We had 3 or 4 different deployments with multiple agencies going down there for 12-hour shifts to help them in their time of need. So I thank you for proving that at that time it worked out. It wasn't designed exactly for what we utilized it for the first time, but it worked. The state was very happy with us. That concludes my report, unless anybody has any questions.
Questions for Tim? Thank you, Tim. Remsco, Rich.
Remsco was scheduled to meet last week. The meetings were canceled. Tentatively, we meet in January unless we're hit with a blizzard or besieged by a plague of locust or whatever else might come our way.
Hurricanes.
Volcano upstairs.
Questions for
Unfortunate, there's a very full agenda for both systems in CMAC, and unfortunately, we won't be able to meet in January.
Thank you, Rich. I'd like the minister to reflect that not only is Dr. Daly skilled with both stethoscope and scalpel, but also makes outstanding wood-fired pizza. And this week, I had the privilege to attend the best emergency nursing committee meeting that I've ever attended. That was chaired by our very own Emery Cross, where Dr. Daly really did a yeoman's job of making some wonderful pizza for us. So thank you for that, and not to steal Emery's thunder, but we'll take your report now.
Thank you. Okay. We talked about the HIV testing. Albany Med has not implemented it completely yet, where this is where all EDs are required to ask patients if they want to be tested for HIV. They are very close to implementation. Saratoga will be asking the questions during the initial assessment in the patient room, not in triage. Medication supplies, one-for-one exchange. Albany Med is still waiting for final approval from their corporate compliance for bio-ID. They reported that it will be probably very soon that they'll be able to get this organized. PCR's face and face sheets. Seton Health has completed the auto-faxing of their sheets. There are no issues that they've reported at this time. St. Peter's has still not completed this, but had reported that they had moved this farther up the chain of command to try to make it happen. They actually were not at the meeting, but this was reported prior to that. Saratoga Hospital hosted an EMS recognition dinner among fellows on September 15th. Dr. Snyder discussed pre-hospital care of the emotionally disturbed patient. We had a great turnout. There were about 75 people who attended. Nursing protocols, as reported at the last meeting, all patients are required by the Nurse Practice Act to be patient-specific and ordered by an authorized prescriber, such as a nurse practitioner or physician. This had been reported to the nursing board by one of the CNOs in the region. We're hoping to have that reversed, and everyone is still trying hard to develop their own processes to make this happen. We have to actually ask the physician if we can initiate. That slowed things down a bit. It was requested by some of the nurses at Ellis requested that they talked about the EMS providers asking if when they transport a patient who has bed bugs or scabies or any of those potentially harmful bugs, if they can let us know ahead of time, like early on before the patient arrives. They said that, and actually a couple of us had actually, I've seen this as well, where they'll bring them in, and Ellis had reported that day that they would put a patient in the hallway waiting to get them into a bed, into a room where they might have made some other, some other maybe move the patient out of the room if they were called. So if that could happen, that was quite a discussion. And then it led into another discussion about MCI, and if there is an MCI, nurses requesting that we get as early notification as possible so that we can do some preparation. And then they said that we would try to develop some guidelines through WAMO. Steve, did you say that you were going to bring that? Maybe it was hard to
Yep, Dave Pohl was bringing that issue back to Tim. Tim, do you have any comments on that?
The announcement or not? The advisory? We'll be sending one out to everyone.
Okay. And the last thing that we discussed was that Ellis Hospital reported that their use of IV prep kits has really skyrocketed, and requested that anybody who brings them, if they just do a one-for-one exchange, they're really not quite sure exactly what's happening. They're trying to see if they can get a report, but said that it's like double number uses now. Yeah. We did have fun. We had a good time last meeting.
Thank you. Any questions for Emery? MCI committee.
Tim basically covered a lot of it. It turned out to be pretty pathetic. We didn't actually realize we were going to use it so soon, but it worked out very well. Like we had mentioned, the plan was really not designed as a resource for these type of incidents. But we decided to go to it and use it because of the extent and the money that was required. It was my privilege to be able to go over to Greene County and assist Patty over there. Quite frankly, resources were spent, personnel were spent, they had their own emergencies to deal with, and we decided basically to try to implement this plan to give them some assistance. I want to publicly thank Tim and Jim Reagan for the assistance that they gave me during that time period. Tim especially, I think this organization needs to know what his dedication is to this organization. After we were deployed over there, I was on the phone with him almost daily. He helped me organize the resources, he and Jim Reagan both. And I spoke with Tim on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right through weekends, and it was very helpful. I think it does give kind of a focus and an arm to this organization. The plan worked very well. There were a couple of issues that we learned from the plan. We will be adding on to it. But again, I thank Rensselaer County, Albany County, Columbia County for the assistance that they gave Greene County. And it went very, very well.
Questions? Thank you very much. Membership committee.
At the June meeting, I was asked to have the attendance or should have an account. I didn't at that time, but I had 2 months to do it, so I finished it last night. This is the attendance for the last 6 months and who owes the documentation. And there's a couple names on here that they've never been here that I know of this year, so I don't know if I can take them off or not. One's in yellow are current, and one's in pink. I need letters for recommend, and the greens are the ones that are questionable.
So the ones in pink are which one?
You need letters from their counties.
Okay. And yellow or green is what?
Yellow is good, green is, I don't know who it. If there you can still hear it.
The alternate would just go with the council member. So Mike, I believe, is off the list, so she would just go also.
Who's that?
I think Kevin is saying
The one,
that.
I haven't kept with the person in green. She's only an alternate
Okay,
for somebody who's no longer on the council.
okay. They're on.
Okay, and then the letters, the ones in pink, you're saying you need a letter
Yes,
from the county,
yes,
Columbia County?
yes.
What do you think about that, Mr. Bill?
I think we're out there.
I was gonna say, he thinks he's out. I told him I didn't
I think
think
I'm
he'll
off.
fly.
I think I'm off the hook.
Nothing easy. Nice try. Do we make a motion to roll them over for a little while?
I think we can get a letter.
Thank you.
And I don't know what to do. You need to count as few counties or people that haven't been here, the meetings that they're supposed to, I think they're supposed to half the meetings they're supposed to attend.
Either them or they're all right.
I think they're supposed to be here, we should get the rule out, but I think they're supposed to be here. Their alternate can vote for them, but I think that they're supposed to be here 50% of the time. I could be wrong on that.
I suggest then that we'll have Tim review the bylaws to confirm the policy that Jeff just asked about. In the event that we have members who have not met their attendance requirements, ask Tim to both call them and send them a letter of notification, and then we can act on it at the next meeting based on that response. Sound good? Great. Thank you very much for doing that. It took a lot of time to pull that together, so thank you.
Copy letter to go to the county as well.
Excellent idea, Judith. Copy the letter to the county leader as well, so that everybody's absolutely. Is anybody reporting on the QI committee? I know Jim was excused from this evening. Okay. GPO.
Thanks, Steve. The GPO, we've got now a full year of numbers underneath our belt, and July marked a full year of the relaunched GPO, and our business is averaging over $5,000 a month for a total of $65,000 in purchasing volume. That has become pretty steady and consistent. We have begun some increased marketing, and hopefully all of you who have gotten the emails and letters at your agencies. Tim, myself, and the representative of Mohawk Hospital Supply have been meeting once a month to go over marketing strategies as well as target agencies throughout the region for recruitment. Steve's in the process of finalizing the negotiation of an ongoing contract with the Mohawk Hospital Supply for us to continue the program, and I anticipate that that'll be done soon. One of the things that has already been agreed to by both parties in that going forward contract is that we would have the rights, if you want to call that, for us to expand the GPO into Arams and Mountain Lakes. And both Arams and Mountain Lakes regions have expressed an interest in joining the GPO. So that will allow us to continue to build volume and continue to improve pricing, and also be able to get a piece of proceeds. We haven't worked out an agreement with the other regions on what would be the arrangement as far as them receiving any part of the proceeds, but what we do know is we would receive some for the purchases that were made in those regions. Our goal is to really double the size of this from where it is now, get over maybe $10,000 to $15,000 a month. One of the things that's being negotiated out in the contract renewal would be that our incentive payments would increase as our volume increases. So our hope is that we can put ourselves in the $10,000 a month category, reap the financial benefits, and this would be another way of the region diversifying its funding stream. And the nice thing about it is the sales work is being done by the vendor. We're providing, Tim and I are providing strategic assistance, and Steve's providing some guidance, but the real work is being done by an outside party, and we're able to benefit from both lower prices and then the income it brings to the region. So if you haven't tried it, and you can try it, I encourage you to. One of the things Tim is trying right now is we know there are a lot of the major agencies in our area do their bidding and purchasing on a yearly basis. It's not, you pick up, not to buy from this person this month or that month, but there is a formal process through the county government or through the agency they're part of, the city government. We're trying, Tim is working very hard to find out how we can put ourselves in a position to be a bidder, essentially. So if whatever jurisdiction is going to bid for their 2012 GPO business, we'd like to be able to get a crack at it. And of course, if our prices are competitive, we might get it. If our prices are not, We might not, but we want to get in for next year with as many agencies as we can.
Thank you, Steve, for that leadership and that good report. Certainly, this is one of a number of areas that we talked about in terms that goes along with every location in terms of strategically positioning ourselves to both cooperate with the Board of Regents as well as find alternative revenue sources to ensure the organization has the financial strength to continue with our mission, regardless of the state of grant support and other activities where we receive funding. So thank you for your leadership in that area. Any questions for Steve and the team? Great. County reports, Albany County.
I'd just like to acknowledge the agencies from Albany County that did respond to under the mutual aid plan. The first strike team to respond included Western Turnpike, Rescue Squad, 5 Watt Ambulance, Colony Ambulance, and Altamont Ambulance. Subsequently, a day later, a second team was assembled. Staff and ready to go, however, was canceled at the last minute. That included Delmar Ambulance, Heldenberg Ambulance, and Colony Ambulance. And I apologize everybody for the middle of the night phone call. Everything working.
Questions for Jim? Thank you. Columbia County.
Columbia County is making 9 scholarships this year by its sign.
Great. Questions? Green County. Dave?
Green County would like to thank the people from out of the county who helped us out. We had 3 deaths in the county due to the storm, and several villages totally wiped out. Our own paramedic service put on 127 extra hours for that, besides the 4 trucks we have on the road 24/7. So it's about the worst flooding. Even the flooding check dams that were supposed to hold it back got wiped out. So it's quite a situation. Again. On the paramedic front also, the county approved a 3-year extension of our contract. I think we're up to about 1.4 million now as a budget. It's still run by a not-for-profit private agency. The county also has approved a vital sign stipend of $350 and $400, depending if you're CRC or whatever. And we have 39 students in our combined refresher and original course that started on the 13th of September. That's all, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Remsco County.
I also would like to recognize the agency that offered to assist Green County during their weather-related problems. We actually had 4 agencies, Castleton, Nassau, North Green Mission RPI. Castleton developed a late mechanical problem. The crew went to head for the gathering point, and their ambulance wouldn't start, so we didn't want to send them down. So we ended up with 3 agencies. They did a 12-hour shift, and got to look at a lot of countryside, I guess. But in any event, you know, that's passed, and hopefully that never happens again, although we expect it will at some point. I'd also like to mention that we do have an MCI drill planned this Saturday. It'll be favorite topics, school buses. This is done in conjunction with the Skodak School District, Skodak Castleton area, and it should be quite an exercise.
Thank you. Saratoga County.
No report.
Schenectady County.
The county's looking at better do mutual aid after all the flooding, because the northern part of the county, on the other side of the Mohawk, was pretty much isolated after the bridges were all closed down. And requests for resources were made, but there's no way to get them on the other side of the river. So we're looking at how to coordinate a little bit better this Saratoga County for needed resources. And also working on a pod drill utilizing the flu shot in November, probably just before Thanksgiving.
Thank you. Any questions for our counties? Under new business, we've already addressed the first item in the CON report. We have discussion on EMS award committee nominations. Steve?
Yeah. At the last couple of meetings, we talked about the number of EMS award applications that have shrunk over time. Also about the desire of New York State to move the EMS award cycle a little bit earlier in the year so that New York State EMS awards can be competitive for the national EMS awards. And we talked about having a committee that could help coordinate, number one, promoting our region's participation in the awards as the number of applications has shrunk, and number two, to put in place a consistent process for identifying the award winners. In the past several years, the executive director has put together an ad hoc committee with very little time to plan to make the award selections, and so we've got a couple individuals willing to serve. Skip Kearney from the executive committee, Lynn Kane. We certainly could use a third person on that committee, and with the mission of moving forward into 2012, getting us prepared for the award cycle. The state usually would have probably, at the Remsco meeting just held, rolled out the plan for next year's awards. With the meeting not being held, I imagine it'll have to happen before January, since the award due date is now earlier in the year. And then for us to be able to have a process for making the selection. So thank you to Skip and Lynn. And if anyone else is interested, please let us know.
Dr. Galli, did you want to join so we could try your pizza? Skip, that okay with you? Oh, sure.
Meetings will be at Ellesmere Avenue.
Any questions for Steve on that? Tim could probably enlighten us, but I think it's probably worth recognition as well that Tim Morably achieved certification in human resource leadership.
Oh, Steve brought that up.
Brought up earlier.
Yeah.
It's worth it twice.
Yeah, I missed that. I think that's really wonderful given some of the challenges that face organizations these days. So I want to make sure we bring that up to the award ceremony as well for your recognition. Congratulations. I apologize that I missed that probably during one of my sidebar discussions. So thank you for doing that, Steve. Tim, you have another item here on workstations?
One thing I forgot in my report, and it's related to the relocation of Remo to the new building. When we went through the building, it was chock full of office cubicles from the old tenant. The people that did view it, some of the executive board members, I showed them and conveyed my intentions, hopefully, of going back to them and asking if we could procure several of those. Actually, I thought about 6 of those cubicles for the new space. Cubicles to be used for office space, cubicles to be used for privacy during PSE examinations, cubicles to be used for protocol exams, or whatever we need to use those cubicles for. Our realtor went to them, they talked to the owners, and they were open to selling a number of those. The cubicles we saw were in perfect shape. They had a $3,000 individual purchase price when they were purchased. They would sell us the cubicles for $500 each. And I thought if we could purchase 6 of those cubicles, it would work out great for that new layout. So I bring that to the floor.
I'll make a motion to purchase 6 cubicles.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Anyone abstain? Thank you. Motion carries. Thank you. Old business, we have one item, protocol update. Take one of that, Clerk. Did you want to begin?
Just if I can redirect just for a second, the October meeting of the REMAC will be canceled because it happens to fall on the same day as the Lifestar Conference. A significant number of participants who otherwise want to go to the MAC meeting will be at the Lifestar. So we don't want to do any active business there. We will likely have a physicians retreat that day, we discussed some upcoming ideas for to bring forward some QI concerns.
Next academic is on the second year of the
But
next academic.
next academic and Matt Dean, then the second or whatever date is actually correct since I
Second.
Thank you. Anne Marie?
I'd like to just make a correction to my report. It was Aubrey Memorial who reported the high use of IV predicants, not Alice.
Okay. Any questions on that amendment?
Can't hear what she said.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said it was Aubrey Memorial who reported the high use of the IV calls, not Ellis.
Thank you. Any other new business? Any old business that I move? Motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Thank you.